Good evening, this is Kuro. Got a Tier 9 game for you in my Tier 7 Maass. Going over the matchmaking threats to my ship, the enemy Shokaku, the Buffalo, the radar or hydro threat with the Siegfried, only a 1 DD match with the enemy Mayhan. Obviously a Mayhan is much better at fighting DDs than a Maass, so that's going to be a threat to my ship as well. I pulled this game mainly because it's got some really good lessons in it. One, I'm bottom tier. I'm facing a higher tier CV than me, and it's also a map that I've seen some complaints on my Discord about. And normally I would play the 8, 9, 10 line out here, but because of the complaints that I had on my Discord about trying to do some play Grease on ACAP, I'm gonna come out here and play in the West. And one of the things that you're gonna notice about this is I really don't care about this cap. The important thing is that I survive. I'm the only DD on my team, and by me living, I give my team extra options if I need to complete the final race around the world to pick up all the caps. I'm able to do that. So really, I'm gonna end up playing this game a lot like a cruiser this game, using these islands. This is an older build that I've had on my Maass for a while. This is a 19-point captain. For some reason, me and Maass just kind of clicked even before it got buffed, and I like Maass better than Z23. And actually nowadays, with the 32mm pen, Maass is actually a better DD than Z23 outright. It's got more gun DPM. So what? The torpedoes have, 1 kilometer less range, but they still have the same alpha, the same speed and everything. So right out of the gate, you can see I took a test fire there just to kind of see if there was anything in this gap. Nothing spotting me, so didn't get lucky with a fire or anything, but that was more about gathering information. I see that this Siegfried is pushing the cap really aggressive. If he's playing like this, I'm banking on the fact he's got a 6-kilometer hydro, and I'm just going to kite out. I've got my torpedoes coming through here to kind of block off this play to rush in behind this island, and I'm just going to start gunboating. And just notice my angle. I'm really angled to all of these guys back here that can shoot at me. He's got his hydro up. He spotted my torps. He's trying to dig in or turn into dodge some of these torps. And I am being focused by some secondaries. I do pick up a torpedo hit here. Just driving erratically. He's predicting I'm going to go forward. Just going to reverse. But now that things are starting to get a little closer, I'm going to go ahead, smoke up here. The Siegfried goes down. I'm just going to switch targets to this Bismarck. And the dinosaurs are awake, so you may hear singing and screaming in the background. It's during mealtime, so hopefully it doesn't get too bad. So again, you see what I'm doing here. This build does have Demolition Expert on it, so I do have a little bit higher fire chance. So I'm going to be slinging a lot of HE this game for a tier 7 DD that's in a tier 9 match. Now here's a good lesson about shooting over islands. So I want you to take a really close look at the minimap, and you see that circle. That's my point of aim on the minimap. It's giving me a reference point on the minimap where my shells are going to land. And if you look, I'm putting that circle, basically lining it up so it's on the bow of the ship. So as my shells fly out, my shells will likely land more center mass on the Bismarck, and I'm basically just trying to line my shells up with his course and use that to kind of keep my shells on target. I do this a few times this game. I don't think if I've ever covered shooting over islands for a while before they had this addition on the mini map. You had to do it kind of instinctually, so I still do that sometimes. But with that circle on the mini map, they've really removed a lot of the guesswork from, you know, taking those shots, to the extent that in a cyclone or something, I can be sailing around outside of the 8-kilometer spotting range, and I can just be shooting at anything that my team is spotting and doing damage, and nothing can spot me unless I get radared or happen to bump into a DD or something. So now that the enemy team, you see that they kind of got pushed off here, I'm pushing back in here, gonna see, can I cap A? No, not really happy with it. I've got a Tirpitz pushing in, I've got a Bismarck pushing in, so you know what, I'm just gonna step on the cap here, see what these guys are gonna do, if they're gonna turn out. I've got Torps out on the Tirpitz, waiting for my guns to rotate. Gonna start focusing this Bismarck, and I'm just gonna try to keep this ledge right here in between me and the Tirpitz so nothing can spot me. When I zoom out, you can see what I'm talking about, right here. So I'm just gonna step right off the cap. There's no need for me to be in a hurry to get caught here. And the reason why this is important, the Bismarck in particular has hydro. You've got a Buffalo that's now spotted pushing up. If I were to try to hang out here in the cap, there's a chance here if I try to hug the islands. One, I'm likely not gonna be able to do as much damage over these islands shooting. But when these guys push around the islands, it's basically a do or die scenario where, you know, either I'm going to kill them or they're going to kill me. And I've eliminated a lot of my tactical options in the fight. So just gonna kite back, and if you look, I'm just gonna end up using, you know, my Kansas and my Massachusetts to spot for me. This Tirpitz is looking like he's looking to rush these guys. Now I think that is a bit of a misplay, launching the Torps that tight there. This Tirpitz, I think he's running like vigilance and basically an anti-torpedo build. This guy dodged my torpedoes rather early on, and so I think that I should have launched that spread a little wider, or waited a little bit longer to really put an accurate spread on them. But regardless, I'm just going to burn the smoke screen here and just use this to keep racking up some of my damage. Just left mousing here so I can look around, see what's going in the islands. They're still coming, you know, they're still coming, so I'm not gonna step on the cap. I just want to keep working these guys over one by one, keep the guns going, keep dealing damage. And because specifically I don't have adrenaline rush on this ship, I'm trying to be stingy with my HP. If I start getting focused by the CV, or, you know, bump into a radar ship or something like that, I want to make sure that I'm going to have HP to tank through that, number one. But number two, I'm not getting any value out of losing HP. So sometimes you'll see me engage in, let's say, questionable fighting, and that's because I feel like the game has progressed to a stage where I can lower my HP levels a little bit in a trade to get more gun and torpedo DPM, trying to maximize my return here. Since I don't have that on this build, I'm just straight up playing this as smart as I can, just trying to really just stab the enemy in the back and not give them any chance to really be able to do anything about me at all. Just trying to see if I can get a fire to finish off that Bismarck. North Carolina's coming around the corner. Switching to AP here. German DD. You know, the AP is nice. You've seen the numbers with the HE all game. Yeah, this AP is nice. Unfortunately, don't get the kill there. Transitioning back, see if I can catch the Bismarck. He's turning out. Unfortunately, don't get him. Mayhan's up. Just gonna start closing on ACAP and just gonna try to get whatever damage I can on this Mayhan as I'm pushing up here. Not really leading the best. But my team, they just nuked that Mayhan. I had, once he was down to about half HP, I was pretty confident that I could win that regardless of what build he's got. Hey guys, no light shows. Come on now. Daddy doesn't want to sit in the dark and do a video. I guess I'm going to do the rest of the video in the dark. So only at this point am I going to step on the cap. The enemy Buffalo, the enemy team has just fled. All the survivors are down on the I line, headed for the J line. And that's unfortunate because it's going to make running up my damage much harder. Ideally, I don't even want to cap A. But I end up capping A, and that's, from my perspective, that's a bad thing because that's going to make this game end that much quicker. So rather than trying to chase these cruisers down, we get a quick spot on the Shokaku. He's actually turned in a direction that I might be able to catch. So I'm going to actually start sailing towards the Shokaku. And he'll be my kind of my last chance at maybe getting some damage. So really, while I'm waiting here, the things that I really want to drive home when I'm playing on ACAP is it's really a defensive fight. You're not. Sometimes you can act as a spotter. Other times you're going to be just operating as a damage dealer, particularly when the enemy team crosses, you know, the 50-yard line here, where they're committed in these choke points. That is your time to smoke up and absolutely wreck the enemy ships that are doing that. And that's the really important lesson when you're playing ACAP. It's really defensive until you break the enemy's back, and at that point you can get aggressive and start pushing. Unfortunately, this game you don't really see much pushing. They just pushed until they collapsed. So not a whole lot of damage this game, but a solid performance for a bottom tier ship. So now, I'm sure some people would claim that, you know, well, the CV didn't focus you or anything like that. True, but I also spent a lot of the game, you know, surrounded by allied ships that were going to make it difficult for that Shokaku to hit me. Plus, I had, you know, with Superintendent, the 4 smokes. So I've got, you know, extra get out of jail free cards. So I'm not gonna be the easiest target for a CV with the build. Um, yeah, I know. Anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments on this, let me know. Leave the comments below. As always, the build will be in the video description, as well as links to my Discord and Patreon. If you guys have any questions, apparently I need sleep because I already said that. I hope you're having a good night. I'll talk to you later.